Between 1939 and 1945, the Nazi occupation of Europe destroyed millions of lives. The sheer scale of the Holocaust is so vast that the numbers often feel abstract, existing more as statistics than stories. To see the human reality of that occupation, we turn to a single small book. Published in 1947, The Diary of a Young Girl has been translated into over 70 languages and read by tens of millions of people. The central irony is that the author herself didn't expect this legacy. On June 20th, 1942, she wrote that neither she nor anyone else would ever be interested in the musings of a 13-year-old schoolgirl. To understand why she matters, we have to strip away the image of the saintly historical figure. We have to look at the witty, flawed, and incredibly smart teenager she actually was. Before her family went into hiding, Anne's life was remarkably full. She had loving parents, a sister named Margot, and roughly 30 people she considered friends. Yet she felt a deep, persistent isolation. She found she could only talk to her friends about ordinary, everyday things, never managing to connect with them on a level that felt meaningful. Her solution was to invent a friend named Kitty. Treating this checkered notebook as her ultimate confidant, she turned her diary into a private psychological refuge. She famously wrote that paper has more patience than people, knowing the pages would act as a silent listener. This inner life was also marked by a quiet, lingering empathy. When her grandmother died in early 1942, Anne kept the grief to herself, writing about how often she still thought of her and loved her, even years later. Creating Kitty wasn't just a child's game. It was evidence of a 13-year-old diagnosing her own isolation and building a specific way to treat it. But that quiet philosopher disappeared the moment she walked into a classroom. At school, Anne was loud, social, and a constant disruption. This behavior frequently frustrated her math teacher, Mr. Keesing, an old-fashioned instructor who struggled to keep her quiet. When her talking became too much, he assigned her punitive essays. The first was on the specific topic of being a chatterbox. Anne didn't back down. She wrote a 3-page logical defense, arguing that talking was an inherited trait she'd picked up from her mother, claiming there wasn't much she could do about her own genetics. Mr. Keesing laughed at her logic, but the talking continued. Eventually, he assigned a third, more ridiculous essay. "Quack, quack, quack," said Mistress Chatterbox. This time, Anne enlisted a friend to help her write the entire response as a satirical poem. The poem described a strict father swan who bites his young ducklings to death simply because they quacked too much. It was a direct, pointed joke aimed at Mr. Keesing's discipline. The teacher read the poem to the class and finally gave in. By forcing him to laugh at himself, Anne demonstrated an ingenuity and a fierce refusal to be silenced. When you merge these two sides of her, the student who judged her classmates while secretly looking for a deep connection, you see why her voice remains relevant. Her diary became a global fixture because it gave a name and a face to a number that is far too large for any person to truly understand. She lived on through these pages simply by being so undeniably herself before the occupation caught up with her. She originally feared that no one would care about a 13-year-old girl's thoughts. Instead, her specific teenage voice is exactly what made the history of the war real for millions. Anne Frank's place in history is anchored by her sharp, defiant personality. While her tragedy provides the context, the diary itself is a testament to exactly who she was.